Biceps of Hollywood, Matt Connelly. It isn't a contract, a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera, just making sure that the lawyers are happy. They have seen two biceps. There was one right there, and there was another one there. It is not just one arm that I'm bringing up and down. There is actually a second arm. There it is. It's not some sort of illusionary trick, although it could be good if I did figure out how to do that. The co-host, the co-founder, the co-breeder of the Revere, the co-wearer of clothes in this very room, it is none other than the master of disaster, the king of sting, the count of Monte Cristo. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award for many years in a row, 40-something years in a row, apart from the 2 years. One was dropped to Vince Colosimo, the other to Vincent Ronaldo, the famed
I didn't think we were going to rate. I didn't think that was going to keep coming up in the way that it does. But...
It does, yes. It has to, because we've got to keep the memory of Vincent Ronaldo going, and Hair Machine, the Hair Machine award of the year, which was their own award they awarded themselves every year. But regardless as to that, it is none other than your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge. Welcome to your own show.
Well, thank you very much for that very, very warm welcome as always, Hollywood Matt Connelly. It's a joy to be here with you on Arm Wrestling tonight. That is your 5-night a week, half an hour dose of arm wrestling news, reviews, and bringing to you some of the best up-and-coming stars from around the region and around the world. Hollywood Matt Connelly, we are here tonight to discuss Knuckles Up 5. Knuckles Up 5 has just taken place over the Australia Day long weekend, was it coincidental that we happen to see several of the best from the Southern Hemisphere make their way to New York to compete against some of the best in the Northern Hemisphere. And a great show, a great card, very deep card. It was a long broadcast. We're going to get into some of the details now. Hollywood Matt Connelly, what are some of your initial thoughts, comments, and impressions of the event?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we were going to highlight some of the 3 things that we really liked and 3 things that we thought could have been improved with the show. So should we kick off? We'll do maybe one at a time. One thing we liked, and then one thing we didn't like.
Yep, sure. Let's do it that way.
All right. Well, one thing that I always like and respect with that Knuckles Up is that they bring in athletes from all around the world and give them an opportunity to be seen on the world stage, which maybe those athletes would never have the opportunity to do that for either financial reasons or geographic locations. They just can't travel. But these people are incredible arm wrestlers and incredible athletes, and to be able to be given the opportunity to be seen on a world stage is fantastic. The Knuckles Up is doing that, so that is definitely something that I always respect and appreciate with the promotion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there is a lot to like about Knuckles Up, the organization, and what they're trying to do for the sport. And I think that all of those points are hugely valid. They're trying to elevate the profile of the sport, holding the event in New York. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. And that's a real statement for their brand. They're really saying, look, we're not in some backwater from nowhere. We are right here in the Big Apple, in one of the commercial epicenters of the world. And we are here to showcase the sport on a world stage. And it's absolutely undeniable the buzz that the athletes have, just to be able to say to the guys that they train with and the rest of the community that they're traveling to New York to arm wrestle. I mean, how cool is that? What a story to tell the family at Christmas time. Hey, if you're an arm wrestling athlete and get the call up to compete on Knuckles Up. So there's a lot to like about Knuckles Up as an organization. I also love the way that they're like East versus West has, with trying to have for these regional contests and creating essentially a league. What they're doing with the Arnolds and dovetailing into that really, again, a highly recognized, highly reputable, world-class brand in the Arnolds, and dovetailing their brand into that. I mean, that is a fantastic strategic move. So I really think that they're giving a lot of thought to not just the next event, but to even that next generation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree, and that is one of the things that we love. We love to see that people who maybe because of where they live, they think, "Oh, I'd never get. I'd love to be world champion, or I'd love to be seen on these big promotions." And even if they're the best in their area, they just can't get the attention that they require to be able to get the opportunity. And we've always spoken about people. Utilizing social media to garner the attention for themselves, but sometimes people don't have that ability, or they don't have that charisma, or they just don't feel comfortable doing that, but they are phenomenal on the arm wrestling table. uh, Obviously both go hand in hand. The promoter's not going to put you on the card unless you have some, either you're absolutely ridiculously good at arm wrestling, or you have a very, very bright, colorful personality, and you command a big audience, and people want to see you regardless as to whether or not you're going to be at an elite level or not. But if you can combine the two, that's where you get a superstar. You get somebody who is incredibly good on the table and has an incredible personality. You take somebody like Travis Bagent, or these people who are at the absolute top, and it's like, regardless as to who they're competing against, what the event is, we're interested in watching them because we want to see that person.
Yeah. What was your top three moments, top three highlights or takeaways from the event that you'll remember in more than 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, I think seeing then this is some spoilers for anyone who doesn't know the results. Maybe don't listen to the next 30 seconds, but seeing the Australians do so well on the card, and even though Mario Barkas wasn't able to get the victory over Ron Barth, he still was on the stage and having a match against the man, which just shows you the level that he is at. He is right at that point. And Ron Barth is an absolute legend in the sport of arm wrestling. At 62 years old and 43 years of experience, he was able to utilize that to get over Mario. But you can see that Mario is not that far away from cracking that absolute elite level. So very excited for his future. Seeing Ryan Bowen get a victory over Tom Holland was incredible. Both guys so technical, and always have the ability to find a way to win a match. As we said on our prediction show going into that, I couldn't pick a winner. I was like, this is a 50-50 show to me.
Yeah.
It is either one could win this because they're so adept at finding victory. And we saw that
Mm.
in the match. You saw different styles and techniques and implements and strategies and everything being thrown at each other throughout the match. Some small controversial moments, but I think overall they were eradicated with video reviews, and both guys gentlemanly and had no issues after the match or anything like that. And also Matao Warangi getting a victory as
Yeah.
well. So so good to see. And of course, how can we forget the adopted Australian, originally South African, now Australian only.
Honorary.
Honorary, yeah, sure. In Rickard Borman getting a victory over Don Hollywood Underwood in such dominant fashion that he was able to get Don to concede the third round, which is, almost unheard of. But yeah, that was one of the big highlights for me, for sure.
It was really kind of Knuckles up to hold the event on the Australia Day long weekend. So, and to showcase so many Australian athletes on that card. And Mario didn't walk away with the win, but I think Mario walked away with maybe the best physique update shot. He absolutely looked amazing a day or so before that event. He looked like an IFBB pro. He was in the shape of his life, and he did not regret a moment. He threw the kitchen sink at his preparation and gave himself every chance of winning, and just fell short. So from his end, there's no excuses. It appears, and I don't want to speak on his behalf, but it appears like he's taken away a lot of positives out of that. He's got great relationships with the Knuckles Up guys. He'll be back. He is fantastic to work with, but more importantly, he is such an outstanding talent. And as you mentioned, he is so close. But you know what? For me personally, it was hard not to feel Rickard Borman's dominant display against Hollywood Don Underwood. To feel that wasn't a highlight for me. Wow, it was such a. I guess we've been trying to say to the world, like, Rick might be one of those once in a generation athletes, and then to see him perform the way that he did, kind of now sets the scene for what might come next for him. So he is well and truly now on his way after his international debut, and I guess, it really does lend a high degree of credibility and prestige now to the AWE heavyweight belt, because Rickard Borman is truly a world-class athlete.
Yes, absolutely. Completely agree with that. We're just seeing some highlights of some still images popping through here. But yeah, there was some really good, interesting matches on the card. Name familiarity was high, which is
Mm.
great. If I'm watching a card, I'm usually not interested at all if I don't know who either of the pullers are, and I will either walk away and come back later,
Yeah,
or I will skip through the whole match because I just don't care.
yeah.
But on this one, every single match there was somebody that I knew in it, and it was like, oh, I want to see Hellboy, or I want to see, you know. Nadia or Ryan Bowen or Matai Warangi or Paul Passmore, and there's so many matches that lined up that it was like,
Mm.
oh, okay, this is a very easy card to follow on match after match, because it's like, okay, what's the next match? And you go, oh, it's
Mm.
Paul Passmore and Jin Hyun Min, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, I want to see that. And then it's like, what's next? It's like Ryan Bowen and Tom Holland. You're like, oh yeah, I want to see that. And then it's like,
Yeah.
then it's Mateo Moringi. You're like, oh yeah. And then it's like, oh, and there's Mario Tembagas. And then it's like, well, this is bang, 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 bang. I want to see all of these matches in a row. There was no point where I was like, I'm just gonna walk away for a little while, or I'm gonna start doing something else while this is on in the background. So it did keep my attention the whole time.
I want to say lighting was great for the event. I felt it was a really well lit event. The branding is outstanding. It's clean. No one is like it. There's a bit of black and a bit of red and a bit of white, and you see that a lot in arm wrestling. They very, very typical. That purple branding is very unique in our sport. They've got a very distinctive on-screen presence for their events.
Yeah, I wonder why they went with purple. I think maybe because it is a point of difference that
Mm.
anyone who sees purple goes, "Oh yeah, that's Knuckles up," as
Yeah,
opposed to red or black, or well, I guess that's what we do, red and black. But
yeah,
if somebody has, well, usually like if you see bright yellow, you think, okay, that's probably the European, like maybe the Slotty Tour or something like that. But
mm,
yeah, even just creating association with your coloring, and we did see that on the day. I thought there was a little bit of inconsistency with the different camera angles and the lighting. You can see here the front on shot is set up here with this type of lighting, but then when they would change to something like that, you see it's a lot brighter,
mm.
and so there was a little bit of unconscious jarring flowing from one setup to the next as they were flying between camera shots during the match as well. I sort of did notice that it didn't stay consistent.
Yeah, I'm going to say that as well. I think that's one of those three things that I didn't like about the event. It appeared to me to be shot by people that don't really understand arm wrestling, I mean, who you'd be very fortunate to find a professional film crew that have a great understanding of the sport. I mean, that's really, really hard to find.
Yeah.
Even in New York, where you have some really talented people and a great pool of people available to you. So, this is something where, to me, it almost seemed like there was a new team, because this was shot differently to something to what I would have expected, and it wasn't shot differently in a better way. It was shot differently, and I think that's something that the promotion will want to work more closely with their production team about in the future. It's really hard to be specific in how you want 5 or 6 hours of content shot, and when you're on the microphone, and you're really active in the running and being the face of the event, as well as having all of that to control behind the scenes. It's impossible. At some point, you've got to delegate, and I think that's just something that will get better as they become more familiar with their production team, and their production team become more familiar with the sport. So that's how it felt. I don't actually know that's the case, and so if anybody does know in the comments, certainly let us know whether that's indeed the situation. But that's what it looked like to me. It seemed to me to be different.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Aaron Castillo has a comment here. He says that's what we're doing specifically with the East versus West King of the Table crew in the US, trying to use arm wrestlers as much as possible in their production. That's a good move, Aaron. I remember having a very specific conversation with Chris from Intrinsic Media about how to shoot the event, and I was very, very adamant that during the match and just when the match is being set up, to stay with the front on camera, which is the one that you can see on the screen right now. So do not move from that camera. Don't try to get a better angle. Don't try to, this is where all of the important action is taking place. Listen, if you want to use another camera angle after the round is finished, then sure, put in your replays, put it in your highlights, but stick with this one camera view, because the audience is watching this exact moment and they don't want to suddenly be changed to a different angle, and now what they had seen as a high top roll, and now they're like, oh, I can't see his hand now, I don't know what's going on. Or it's like, just stick with the one camera angle. Then if you've got something better, put it in the replay, put it in the highlights, because yes, constantly moving from one angle to another. And I would say that is one of probably my second thing that I think needs to be improved. And I agree with you that it did feel like the production crew weren't. It was either that they were a different crew altogether, or that maybe with Will doing the emceeing and the commentating, that he used to control more of the aspect of the production side of things, but was unable to because of his extra duties. Because it did feel like there were so many moments where
I'm not sure how they split their responsibilities between, but it does seem like it was overlooked.
Yeah, well, the frustration for me was when the match was just about to start, and they would be at a camera that was right at the back of the room, and you could see the whole stage, like, and it was so, and the arm wrestlers looked like tiny little figures, and it's like, I can't see the match. What are you doing? Zoom in, go to the closer camera. And then they would go to the camera over the top looking straight down, and I was like, I can't tell what's happening.
Yeah. I'll also say one little thing that will mean I probably won't ever watch the event live is the setups were painful from my perspective, and I think what it is now is that it's unavoidable in this format, this super match format, where there's a lot on the line. It's a big international stage. Athletes, it's their moment, and they should be doing absolutely everything they can to make the absolute most of that moment. And it shouldn't really matter to anybody else whether that takes 20, 25 minutes or whatever. But to make a pay-per-view watchable live, it's very, very difficult to watch, especially when it's a really deep card, and it does affect your enthusiasm for hanging in there, and especially if it's for the international audience who might be watching it at an ungodly hour. It can be a difficult one. So that's my last negative. So everything else I've got to say is going to be very positive.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Well, I just, I mean, at the end of the day, we want arm wrestling to be as successful as possible, and the only reason we're being critical is just because we see things that maybe this could be improved, maybe this could change, and we do the same for our own events. Like if people say, hey, this was bad, or this thing didn't work, or we couldn't hear this guy properly, it's like, all right, we need to fix that. We got to make sure that happens the next time we go out.
I will be very offended for about a week though if anybody does say something negative, but I do then acknowledge it and we try and fix it. But yeah, that's true. It'll
Yes.
stop me being a little bit spiteful and mean for a little bit about it, but yeah.
That's right. Well, Grant Law has a good comment here. He says handheld cameras at ground level need to be complemented by a rig mounted above the athletes that can be controlled remotely. This would solve the issue of the refs getting in the way. There you go. Yes, good piece of advice there, Grant. That's one of those things.
It's almost like Grant knows something here.
Yeah, it's like he's in the media industry.
Yeah.
And Aaron Castillo says they started from the wide for way too long on several starts. I completely agree with that. I think their switcher kind of fell asleep a few times, but overall did okay. Otherwise, I completely agree. Yeah, whoever was in charge of switching between the shots needs to either get a lot more training or needs to be replaced, because it was like they had all the elements correct. Like the lighting was there, the theater, the sound, but
I'm actually really excited for how the post-edited clips are going to look, because I think as they're going through their master files and working it through, they're going to see that this when all of this is color corrected and everything's put together, the highlight reels from this will be outstanding. And I think from that they'll probably have a greater idea as to how to shoot it for the live next time. Especially if the production team are involved in the editing process. That would be very interesting. But I think they're going to have some fantastic promo footage from this for their next event.
Yes, completely agree. One other thing, my final thing on what I think needs to be improved was just the sound. So they had the announcers microphone, they had microphones on the referees, and they had microphones on the commentators. But what they were missing was the audience sound and that empathetic sound. It looked like there was a lot of people in that room, could not hear them at all. It could have been shot in my bedroom. That's how quiet it was. It was yeah, you heard very faint cheers in the background if something massive happened, but apart from that, it was just so quiet. Yeah, I think having some sort of level, which is a very simple fix. You just got to change the levels on the settings to be able to hear more background, and that really creates that atmosphere of you're in the room with the people watching. And when you're watching a pay-per-view event, you want to feel like you're right there. You want to feel like, hey, we're all watching this together, as opposed to somebody's just their voice. It's nice and clearly coming across, but it just feels like anybody could just be commentating over the top of this, and it's not even a live video.
I like their adoption of the video replay, which people might have noticed from the AWE events, and I thought that was excellent. But I just felt like I'm going to give a little bit of advice here. What the boys need to do is appoint a head referee that isn't one of the referees. They need to get somebody who's out of the ring, essentially, who's looking at that screen, and it's probably best if it's one of them. And then they make the call, because they can't have it dragging on for like 2 or 3 minutes. It was very frustrating for Tom. On one occasion, you could hear, that was one of the things that you could hear over the mic. And I would, it just can't drag on. It's you got to have somebody who can make the ultimate call, and takes responsibility for it, and also can keep the production moving on.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. And Marinda Korf says, I think just my opinion is that you guys must get the audience more involved. Maybe look at a raised center stage with the audience closer to the athletes, just like they did with AWE.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Aaron Castillo says, I agree that atmospheric audience sound would really help. Part of the reason laugh tracks exist helps the audience at home feel a bit more involved. Completely agree with that, Aaron. And Grant Law, says the pics of Rickard from this comp suggest he may soon need to be licensed with the Australian Defence Force as a military vehicle. He is looking bigger and badder and stronger and more jacked every single time we see him. And we're looking forward to seeing what's next for the young man.
There is something that happens to Rick Borman over Christmas when he goes back home to South Africa. He does genuinely come back like 10-20% stronger somehow. This has happened the last 2 years. So I don't know what's in the Christmas pudding over there in South Africa. I don't know what his mum is doing there. But both of those boys, have you said, I mean, we had Duval on the podcast. So Juven on the podcast just last week with Rickett, and my goodness, I mean, that young man at 16 years of age, wow, and competitive with his brother on the table at 16. This is there's two of them. This is the amazing thing. But the 16-year-old still at home and doesn't leave and is still eating what Rico can only have over Christmas. And that's why I think he might be overtaking his brother sooner rather than later.
That's right. It might be. That's what's exciting about the future of Rickard Borman and the Bormans over in South Africa. And we've been talking to several of the people over there and finding out more about who's who in the South African region. And it seems to be an untapped resource of incredible arm wrestlers.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, because it's fun when you sort of discover a region, and then if somebody from there starts doing well, it really lifts up everybody else, and everyone else is like, oh well, hey, I could beat that dude. What about me? I'm here too. Oh well, we haven't heard of you before, so show us your stuff. Yeah, that's great. It's a really powerful thing.
All right. So, how many things have you said that you did like about it?
One.
But have you done all of your don't likes?
No, I've done two.
Okay, well, you lead away. You've got.
My third one was the sound. Yeah, so that was three.
So sound. So I guess what we're saying here is that there were some technical issues throughout the production, and that's what that's what maybe skewed the viewing experience in a way that wasn't maybe better than their previous events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But the thing was weird was like everything that they needed was there and set up. It was just the execution that was off.
Yeah.
It's like, you've done it all right. You've got it all right. You need to do it this way.
Yeah. Did you enjoy the commentary?
I did. Oh yeah, I mean, it was interesting because you didn't have Jake Ward, who's the staple. When you think Knuckles Up, he was very heavily associated with that as announcing, and I think he was commentating as well, or they may have used him as a commentator at one point. But so Will was jumping up and down between announcer and commentator duties. I think him as himself, he does a great job of bringing a lot of energy, and he speaks well, and he can talk about the participants. The other gentleman was a Big Laurie or Big Loz.
Big Loz.
Yeah.
Strong man.
Right. Yeah. So that was a little surprising that they did have him back on the commentary desk.
He's a big star. Big star.
Yeah. Yeah, he brings an audience, but it didn't really add anything valuable, I think, to the commentary. I think that both Will and Big Loz are good speakers, that they did a good job on the let's continue talking and keep the energy high with their commentary. I think that what was missing was the very specific knowledge as to what was taking place on the table in terms of the technical side.
Yeah, that might be fair as well. It's always hard, I guess, when you're trying to bed in a new commentary team, as that's really difficult. And I know you've called with Ryan Bowen, you've called with Jake Ward. We've even been on the desk, and and with each kind of partner, there's a different dynamic that you because you kind of fill the gaps in the other person, and so you kind of, there's different elements of yourself that comes out when you so for instance with Jake Ward, like you're never going to compete with Jake Ward in terms of like color. Like he's always going to be your guy. He's going to pick the moments and know when to bring the energy, for instance, and so but so you can't be that guy when you're with Jake Wood, but you might have to be more that guy if you're commentating with somebody who is a little flatter in their delivery, for instance, and color in that. So it's always difficult, I think, when it's a new commentary team, and I think in this case where you've got it's really hard to be an announcer and to be a commentator. Jake Ward does that very, very well. But it's such a, it's two jobs for a reason. In any major sporting promotion, it is legitimately two jobs. So it's a real hard task for somebody to stay focused on that. Also, because a good commentator also needs to be rested, because you're really concentrating, and especially with arm wrestling, it's moments, like it's millimeters, it's that are being analyzed, and that's where the gold is in the commentary, isn't it? So but it's they might be reviewing the video right now and saying, okay, yeah, cool, well now we know each other better. Now we're going to continue to work on this chemistry and come back and make these alterations, and you'll have a different presentation next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Although, as we were talking with Jake the other night on the show, and he said, there's no point for him to try to compete with somebody like Coach Ray on technical analysis. He's like, so yeah. I would never do that. And he's like, and then on the other hand, there's no point somebody trying to out color me, because I'm at that pinnacle of providing the hugest value and entertainment and getting hype, and if you're trying to talk over the top of that, you're basically going to be just yelling.
yeah
So, and it's got to sound silly because it's almost like you're trying to drown out the other commentator. So having that back and forth dynamic between the commentary, where you've got somebody who is colorful and creating that hype and giving you the reason to keep watching, and then the other person who is explaining in a clear and concise manner and an easy to understand manner as to what you're actually watching. So you've got one guy going, you've got to look at this is incredible, you've got two athletes, this guy's from here, he's from here, this is I can't believe we're in this moment, ladies and gentlemen, this is amazing, what we're going to see here, Matt Connelly, what we're going to see. Well, you can see here that he's getting up with his high, his knuckles are pointing towards the ceiling, he's probably going to be pushing towards a high hand top roll, which means he's going to try to come over the top of the other hand, so you've got that back and forth there, as opposed to two people that are very similar, that are basically saying the same thing as each other, or two people that are either too technical, or two people who are too over the top colorful and they're trying to compete with each other. So trying to find a balance is very, very important.
Yeah, I kind of liken it to test match cricket commentary. Like the pace of the commentary, I really enjoy that pace of commentary, and I felt like at the AWE one or two event with you and Ryan, when you commentate together, it's although very difficult to discern who's actually speaking at the time. It's a very natural back and forth and very conversational, and one leads to the next, and it's an ongoing conversation. It's also an education, but you're actually talking about what's going on, but you're always lending context. And I found it very akin to those classic cricket commentators that we grew up with, that were immortalized in the 12th Man series, well, satirically anyway. And it does cast my mind back to that, but that might be just my personal preferences there as well, and biases for you both. But I really enjoy that. So and I guess it's just a matter for every commentary team to come up with their own particular pattern and style that's ultimately compelling. And so I'm sure the KU crew will be working on that for the next event.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how Will felt as well doing both roles, because it would have been very difficult, very stressful. Not only is he the promoter of the event and the organizer, crazy, but now he doesn't have a free second at all the entire event. He's either announcing or he's on the commentary desk. So anything that's like a problem or an issue that they need his input in. He's not
Yeah.
available. He can't answer. He's doing the commentary. He's doing the announcing. It's like we can't even grab hold of him. He's literally on the camera or on the microphone the entire event. So that would probably be something where it's like, okay, we need to make a change here, or there needs to be another person that is in charge of the production side of things. If you're relying on Will at the previous events, now he's not available if you're going to run with him being the announcer and the commentator.
Yeah, well, I'm as an announcer for MMA events and Muay Thai events and fight events, boxing. So they're all in the calendar for this year, and it's it takes a physical toll. Like on me, I'll actually lose kilograms for the night. You're all suited and booted. You really are becoming quite animated for very important moments. The moments essentially, and it's you're introducing the athletes. You're giving them their moment. It's really difficult. My hat goes off to Will and to Neil Pickup, who fulfill both roles on a broadcast, because it's just having one of those roles as an announcer for a major sporting event is exhausting. It's akin to Bruce Buffer jumping then on the commentary desk with Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier. It doesn't happen for a reason. It's at those big events, there's it's really should be two separate roles. And I will also say that, having done that at our last event and then being a little bit behind the scenes, the announcer's role can essentially be off screen. There's no real reason for the announcer to be on screen or on standing up on the stage. You'll notice that visually he was often in the way. So he was standing and then he was pacing back and forth, when if he wasn't on the stage at all, it would have looked very clean, and you would have just had the athlete walking out when their name was called.
Sort of like what's on screen right now.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I would have gotten rid of me. Like, if we were to do this in this style again, I'd just be off. I'd just be off stage. You wouldn't even see me. I'd just call them out.
Right.
It was a bit superfluous. Yeah. And seeing how events are being edited up now for free-to-air TV, it wouldn't appear to be advantageous to spend a whole lot of time on that announcing side of things. So if that was something to drop or easy to do for somebody off stage, I think that's worth doing. Yeah. So anyway, tough gig wearing all of those hats. So
Yes.
it's I'm sure they'll come back and would have reviewed all of that and thought, where can we afford to loosen the reins? Where do we get somebody in to do this, and what roles what hats are we going to wear next time?
Absolutely. Well, should we wrap things up, and we'll go through the comments briefly, and yeah.
Yes, it's 38 minutes. I had no idea.
It is. I didn't realize we'd been talking for so long. I was like, surely it's about 17 minutes. I was like, 38. I'm like, oh my God. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. We just start getting on a roll and then we keep going. Oh, well, it's great. It's great. But let's quickly say hello to all the people that have jumped in. We've got the Claymore. He's always a fantastic young man to see in the comments here. And he said that Ryan was 99 kilos about 24 hours out.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he did cut weight to get down. I think it was 86 kilos.
80,
was the amount.
It was meant to be 86 kilos, but wasn't he like 89 with about 3 days to go or 2 days to go?
Yeah, he was pretty close to it. I think it was just a small water cut to get to the final bit, and then maybe he did put on, but I'd be surprised to see if he went all the way up to 99.
I did hear that mentioned in the commentary, that there was some kind of controversy over the weight issue, and I could, but it wasn't fully explained. So, and I actually haven't actually asked Ryan about this.
Yeah, well, he wasn't anywhere near 100 kilos for the last 6 months. he's been
No.
he's been sitting in the 80s, like in the very low 90s for quite a while. So,
Yeah.
maybe the rehydration, he went crazy and drank a whole load of liquids and ate on top of that. That may have pushed him up, but to get to 100 kilos is. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe their scales are a bit off. Maybe they meant that he'd put on 100 pounds. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, but Aaron Castillo, great to see you in here. Always a pleasure. He said he's working with East versus West King of the Table crew in the production side of things over in North
Is he
America.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've just giving you some tips there, mate. I mean,
Yeah, don't use them. Don't use them against us, Aaron. Forget everything you heard. We'll just ban Aaron from the channel. Hang on. We've got Marinda Korf has popped in with a couple of comments. She said she must know Rickard and Duvan, because she says here
Oh,
that
yes.
Rickard and Duvan are so competitive. Everything they do is a competition. It doesn't matter what it is. And that is what I think makes them who they are today. They keep pushing each other, keeping each other on their toes, and that is great for any sportsman. There you go. I completely agree.
Maybe is this two people? Is this Gert and Marinda?
I think so. Yeah, I
Of
think it's
course, they're
Marinda.
sharing an account.
I think it's
So
Marinda that's commentating, but it is their
is Marinda,
Facebook
isn't it?
account is both of them. Yeah.
It's a shared one, yes. So just because, yeah.
You're
So I wonder what
translating.
the relationship is. Is this an auntie and uncle, or family friends, or just massive Rickett Borman fans?
Could be any.
Could be all of that. It could be
It's
all of
all
the
of them
above.
combined.
Now
And
I'm curious. I want to know about the commenters.
absolutely, Marcel Prinz
I think we're
says,
friends on Facebook, actually, because I
yeah,
see the comments a lot.
yeah. Marcel Prinz says his mum must be feeding him a lot of what's that word?
Boerewors.
Boerewors. And what was the first one?
Millipap.
Millipede?
Millipap. I don't know about the first one. The other one I think is meant to be Boerewors, which
Okay.
is Barbell Foods. The boys at Barbell Foods.
Oh yeah.
They've got Boerewors, and Biltong, and they're South African boys now. I think based in Queensland, and started Barbell Foods. So you've got a guilt-free, high in protein snack, and they knew how delicious Biltong was, and didn't feel like people were doing it authentically in their part of the world, and wanted to create a product that people could order the best from them, and it be delivered to their door. And they do an outstanding job. Although we no longer have an affiliate deal with them, they are no longer a sponsor, but I still eat their biltong. So and I do like their story, and that's why I know that word is Boerewors.
Yeah, but I've never seen the other. Oh, well, actually, I haven't seen either of
No.
those words. But it'd be fun. It's always fun to figure out what they're trying to say. Well, sorry, what we need to say to pronounce it correctly.
Yes.
Mario has jumped in here. He says it was a nice event for sure, Mario. Well done on capturing the username of Mario. You would have been one of the first people on YouTube, I'm guessing, to be able to get that.
Yeah.
It's not Mario underscore 1243 exclamation. It's just Mario. So well done. And
yeah, congratulations.
yeah, that's right.
You could sell that. I wonder if is there a market for handles?
Yes, there is.
There surely would be.
Yeah. Because Microsoft sued a guy who registered a website. His name is Mike Rowe, and he was doing software. And he registered the website Mike, M-I-K-E, Rowe, R-O-W-E, soft.com, Mike Rowe Soft. And they sued him. Mateo Warangi Hedda Morris has jumped in. He says, hey, my guys, and congratulations to you, Big Matty, for your amazing victory. I know you were a little bit hesitant going into that match. You were like, I think I'm the underdog here, but you were the dominant force in that match.
And it was like, there was no like open arm, nothing like that. It was tight. It looked good, dominant. I'm wondering if it was unleashing the manner there, because like we were talking about that a bit before, and yeah, it felt like he unleashed another level, because it was just like, I don't know. very, very, good display. Very strong. Well won. Not just a win, but a really good win.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We've got the man himself who we were just talking about a second ago. Tom Holland has jumped in. He says, all will be fully explained on my channel tonight, 9 p.m. GMT time.
Ooh, there's more to explain. There's things to explain.
Whoa, look out, Tom Holland.
There's an explainer. There's an explainer edition, so people have to watch that tonight, 9 p.m. tonight. Find out from a man on the ground what was going on at the time. Maybe there was some controversy behind the scenes. Maybe Tom Holland is going to share all of this with the world at 9 p.m. GMT. My goodness. Now I'm going to have to stay up. What's that in Australia? It's like 3 a.m. I have no idea. Isn't it? Yeah, that's right.
9 p.m. So I think it was around 12. So at 9 hours from now.
Head over to the channel and set the time and let them know. Get the notification. Let it wake you up.
Absolutely. Aaron Castillo says that the rising tides raises all ships. We're really joking. Aaron, we love what you guys are doing.
We haven't had a good idea yet. So
Grant Law says you're getting Africans listening to you now. With South Africans. South Africans.
Grant Law.
And Gert it's just Gert. He's my wife is Miranda. Yes, that's right. So it's Gert that's writing at the moment.
Gert is writing.
Right, there you go.
Just Gert.
Just Gert. No one else.
Porridge.
So that word is a porridge dish made from dead powerlifters and bourgeois. It is the tastiest sausage you'll ever eat. That's great. Thank you, Grant.
What happened to that powerlifter? I don't know. He was just walking, or he was limping, and so I just thought I'd put him out of his misery. We can grind him up and make a nice breakfast from him.
Yes,
this
that's right.
So if you turn up to your gym and your bro doesn't turn up, you kind of thinking,
and everyone's eating porridge. It's like, no.
Anyone seen Gert? No.
He missed his 300 kilo deadlift. We couldn't handle it anymore. He's done. Fantastic. All right, well, we might wrap things up.
We better.
Make sure you guys check out Tom Holland's show tonight as well. Lean Machine Arm Wrestling. He will be explaining all of his experience at Knuckles Up in his match against Ryan Bowen on his channel tonight at 9 p.m. GMT, which is good morning time. No, I don't know what that is.
Can I just send that with tune in to Tom Holland's podcast? This will be the episode that changes everything.
That's right.
Like a Big Brother episode. This is this changes everything. The game will be changed forever.
That's right. He has massive secret news that only you'll hear on his show. Nowhere else. The biggest news ever.
9 p.m. GMT.
You won't want to miss this secret news that he has.
All will be revealed.
That's right. There we go. All right. We're heading into ridiculousness now, so we better
That's where we do our best work.
That's right. I'm going to pull us out before we go too deep. All right. Thanks again, ladies and gentlemen. We'll finish. Oh, there it is. It's the bicep. It's just made it on the screen. I can only
amazing. So big.
There we go. And the other one. Oh, there it is.
Look at that.
All right. Very good.
Bicep split.
Thanks.